In this lecture, we will get to know the ISO 27000 family of standards. Now, the ISO 27000 family of standards is a series of interrelated standards that can be combined to form a comprehensive framework for information security management. Now, there are four categories of standards within this family. Standards describing overview and terminology, standards specifying requirements, standards describing general guidelines, and standards describing sector-specific guidelines. We also have to distinguish between normative and informative standards. Only normative standards can be audited for compliance. This allows organizations to get certified and demonstrate their abilities to outsiders. All standards that are specifying requirements are normative standards, as indicated with the light blue color on this slide. All the other standards are informative standards, meaning you can't get certified against them. Let's now have a closer look at standards describing overview and terminology first. And this is the case for ISO 27000. Now, ISO 27000 is the root standard in the ISO 27000 series, providing an overview and key definitions related to information security management systems, and it establishes basically the vocabulary and the basic principles that are used throughout the entire series of all the standards that exist. So to sum it up, ISO 27000 serves as the foundation for all standards within this family. And the best part about this standard is the fact that it's available for free. Let me show you where you can find it. Alright, now I'm going to show you where you can find ISO 27000 and download it for free. For that, you go to ISO.org, the official homepage of the International Organization for Standardization, and in the upper right corner you enter 27000. This will then take you to an overview page where you can browse the search results. We'll let it load real quick, and here we go. Now it's important to look for the correct identifier. This is 27001. Here we go, ISO IEC 27000 in the 2018 revision, which is at the time of recording of this video the most recent version. There's a new one in the making, also expected to be released within 2025, maybe early 2026, we'll see. But whatever, this is the overview page of the official standard. Now, as you can see, the price is 0, and if you go down here, you get a link where it says you can download it, and you can download it for free. So try it out, make sure to get this copy and have a look inside the standard. I can really recommend it. It's some pretty interesting information in there, and if you go down a little bit, you get also some lifecycle information, so you can tell that this standard is currently being reviewed and a new version is currently under development. So if you get it right now, make sure to come back in the near future to get the updated version as well. Next, let's focus on standards specifying requirements. Remember, these are the standards that contain actual mandates that can be audited for compliance. They are usually referred to as normative standards, which means organizations can get certified by external certification bodies in order to demonstrate compliance to outsiders. Now here, ISO 27001, of course, is the centerpiece of the entire ISO 27000 family of standards. It provides the basic requirements for an ISMS and is one of the most sought-after management system certifications on the market right now. We are going to dedicate the entire next lectures on this standard, so we won't go into too much detail right now. For now, just be aware that this document specifies the actual requirements for establishing, implementing, operating, monitoring, reviewing, maintaining, and improving a formalized ISMS within the context of an organization's overall business risks. Now, there's also other normative standards, for example ISO 27006. And this standard specifies the requirements for bodies providing ISO 27001 audits and certifications, which is of course not relevant for this course as we seek to become lead implementers, but in case you want to work for a certification body or you want to start your own certification body, this standard basically describes what your organization needs to comply with in order to be eligible to audit and certify organizations against the ISO 27001 standard. Sounds complicated? It is. So for now, or for this course, not of interest. Now there's also two more normative standards in this series. ISO 27009, for example, which defines requirements for sector-specific controls that can be added in addition to the base controls to ISO 27001. So if you are a telecommunications provider or you work in the energy industry, okay, there's some sort of adjustments that you can make, and then if you want to get certified against this, ISO 27009 has more information. Not within the scope of this course, not within the scope of the Elite Implementer exam, so let's just forget it for now. What I also want to mention is ISO 27701, a standard that contains requirements and guidelines on how to extend an ISMS to a privacy information management system so that you can comply with relevant privacy legislation, for example. Really interesting standard, soon to be published as a standalone management system, expected to be mid-2025, early 2025, we'll see. But also this should not bother you, but it's good to know about these standards, and in case you'll ever need them, you know where to find them. Now, as you can see, there's a ton of standards describing general and sector-specific guidelines. Now, these standards provide guidance for all sorts of aspects within the context of implementing, establishing, and running an ISMS. This might also sound a little complicated, but in fact it's quite simple. Now, on the next slide, you can see the ISO 27001 standard depicted as a mind map with all its chapters and subchapters and clauses and whatever you want to call it. And so there's obviously limited information in the ISO 27001 standard. It's just about the requirements, and that's pretty much it. Now, of course, you can always dig a little deeper, get more information, and be more specific. And this is the job of general and sector-specific guidelines. Now, here on the mind map, you can see the ISO 27001 standard in the center, and then I've indicated a few examples of additional standards within this series that further specify on what these requirements are about. So, for example, on the right-hand side, we can see the ISO 27005 standard, which is about risk management. And this is in relation to clauses of ISO 27001 that are somehow related to risk management. But on the left-hand side, there's also standards that are about auditing and about monitoring and KPIs and about security controls and so on and so on. So there's plenty of information about pretty much every aspect of an ISMS that is covered in more depth and in more detail in the informative guidelines, which is the general and sector-specific guidelines. It's also important to note that you can only get certified against ISO 27001. So this is the basis for what you will be audited against. The stuff that can be found in the accompanying additional guidelines is purely informative. It definitely helps to follow these guidelines in implementing the requirements, but in the end, this is not the audit criteria. So it's just about what ISO 27001 says, and this is what I really want to make sure that you understand, okay? Just ISO 27001 can be certified against. Not ISO 27002, none of the others, it's just the one with the number 1 at the end. All right, and with this being said, in the next lecture we will dive a little deeper into the guidelines and see how they interact and what they have to offer.